Hi there, and welcome to The Inevitable. This is MotorTrend's podcast, our vodcast about the future of the automobile. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? And are we taking Dune Buggies to get there?
No.
Welcome to The Inevitable, a podcast by MotorTrend.
Returning guest, I'd say fan favorite, staff favorite. We got Freeman Thomas, whose his position has changed. He was here 2 years ago. It's December 2025 right now. He showed up December 2023. At the time, he was, I believe, the CEO of Meyers Manx. Now he's moved on to a new title, which we'll get from him in a second. But he's still at Meyers Manx. And Manx has done a lot in the 2 years since we talked to him. And there's a lot of his career we didn't even get to. Like, his career is just absurd. So we'll get into some of that. But before we get to Mr. Thomas, my buddy, my partner, Ed Lowe, the other half of the Odd Couple, he's got a message just for you.
The Inevitable Vodcast is currently brought to you by nobody. We're looking for a sponsor, advertiser. You want to do this episode, one episode, 10 episodes, give us a shout. edward.loh@hearst.com. Or slide into our DMs on Instagram.
Slide into Venmo, PayPal. No.
Yes, exactly. We got Freeman on, Freeman Thomas, the man, the myth, the legend. If you want to go back and listen to that old episode from 2 years ago, it's a great one.
Hit the Googles.
We cover all sorts of hilarious stories from his time at the VW group when he did stuff with Porsche.
How he designed the Audi TT and his sketch basically went into production. It's a super cool episode.
Right. And you know, I recall that one went almost 2 hours, and we had to stop because we only had covered maybe like a third or
nothing.
Half.
We skipped Ford, we skipped Daimler Chrysler, we skipped Roof, we skipped over most of his career.
Right. So we're going to talk about that,
but also Manx. We're starting some
as
Manx
well
stuff.
as what he's been up to at Meyers Manx. If you don't know what Meyers Manx is, boy, you better go Google image search that and then come back and listen to it because Mr. Freeman Thomas is super entertaining, and here he comes.
Freeman, awesome to have you back. First of all, we love having return guests. You are not a fan, but a favorite of ours because I love talking to designers. You have one of the most amazing careers. We already said it, but go back and listen to the first one if you want to. 2 years ago, it was December of 23.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm leaving you guys. I'm going to go drive the EV Mule in snow.
Yeah.
So how'd that go?
Let's pick it up from there.
Yeah. So, it was great. And, but I'll tell you this about the EV journey. EV journey, if anybody's ever gone into the startup arena, it's the most difficult space to develop and to get into, and we have learned so much from zero, getting into this space,
right.
and the version that we had 2 years ago, we have completely rethought the whole package, and we've gone through a lot of major changes, because one of the things, the battery technology back then was a lithium ion, and the packs were a little bit thicker, and we had to package them in such a way that it actually limited the interior space.
Right.
I didn't like this at all. And so Philip and I made a big decision.
And Philip Serafin is the owner of Meyers Manx.
Yes. Yeah. So Philip and I basically did the acquisition back in 2020, late November of 2020, and I've been part of this since ground zero with him, going through everything from the original conversations, my friendship with Bruce, the introduction with Bruce and his wife, and going on. I mean, that's a long story in itself. But it's been an incredible journey, and we have stuck with it. Philip has stuck with it, and but the battery electric journey is something that because we're developing a smaller vehicle, it's almost like Apple creating the original iPhone, and traditional packaging, really, it wasn't a lot of carryover from that, because you end up creating a very heavy, a very cumbersome vehicle where the battery takes up so much room inside the vehicle. So we discovered along the way, late, even though it was this year that we found the development, is a lithium iron battery technology, which is non-flammable. It can be used as structural for the vehicle, so you're able to do double duty with it. It can, if it is involved in any kind of crash or anything like that, oxygen let into the system doesn't work in the same way it does in a lithium ion. As we know, lithium ion is highly flammable,
Right.
and it's one of the biggest issues and dangers with lithium ion is people leaving it in a garage, or if you're in a crash or trying to put that fire out. It's almost impossible. We saw that just recently in the Palisades fire and things like that. So we made a very difficult decision. We met an old colleague of mine, Mujib,
Who's been on this program.
yeah. And he at Apple developed a new chemistry for battery. It's lithium iron phosphate,
LFP.
and so that, along with repackaging, I was never happy with the way we sat in the car and so forth. So we redesigned everything. The whole chassis, the packaging, and so now we can fit a 6'5" person in the car easily with comfort, headroom, everything, without changing 1 millimeter of exterior dimension. So it's exactly like the iPhones from the inside out. It's like when Steve Jobs would ask his engineers, is there still space inside of the battery? And he would throw the phone into water, and if bubbles came out of it, it was like, hold on, there's still more.
Right.
And so we wanted to make it safer.
Right.
We wanted to make it lighter. We wanted to integrate the technology. So, and that's the road that we're on right now.
But that's a pretty wild decision. Like before the initial product got out the door, to tear it up.
Yeah.
Because my knowledge of OEMs and let's use like a real bad example, but like, GM with Corvair, like they knew how dangerous it was from 60 to 64.
Yeah.
Because they completely re-engineered it for 65. They knew. John DeLorean famously didn't want a Pontiac version because the test driver said, it flips in a straight line.
Yes.
And but GM, they forget about there was a lot of human cost to that decision. But like, and again, this is a less of a cost, but that's a big for a small company like to do that. Like, how did you make that decision? Like to just tear it up?
Well,
before you sold a single one,
Phil,
or I shouldn't say sold, but produced a single one.
Well, Philip committed to me early on, if this thing wasn't going right, and if I wasn't happy, that we would stop it. And we went down this normal road and with engineers and so forth, and we got to a point, and Philip and I had a private conversation, and together we stopped it.
Wow.
And a very expensive decision.
Yeah.
But we have a word that we use. It's called due care. And due care is where it has nothing to do with the regulations. It has everything to do with, are we doing the best we can?
Right.
So that, you have certain regulations for seatbelts and all this other stuff, but are we doing the best we can? And obviously when you get into smaller vehicles, there are compromises. Like a smart car is different than an S-Class, so you have to kind of look at what the animal is, and if you're doing everything you can.
Right.
And so with the technology, knowing that technology was available, knowing that we could package it, and we did a seating buck, we did it digitally, we did it virtually, we developed this thing very quick, and then now we're in the testing phase. We've already completed the next round. It's postponed the launch of the vehicle, but the other difference is that we the body material that we wanted is going back to fiberglass, and the reason is because fiberglass gave us all the gel coats and all of the things that made it so we could have the metal flakes and the solid colors, and it had the strength. And so we can combine that strength with the other superstructures inside there with our crash and safety areas, and also weight balance and durability, because I personally don't see this as a product that you buy and in 2 years it's old. It's a forever product.
Right.
It's something that
the family Manx.
It's a family Manx.
Yeah.
It doesn't change its style from year to year.
Right.
It's going to stay the same. And the technology that we're putting on board is all modular. So, but right now, lithium iron phosphate is the best technology, and the OEMs, it'll take them a while to transition into this, but because we're small and we're agile, we can do this quickly now, and we're doing it now.
So let me ask you a couple questions. So sounds good. I'm on the site right now. I'm looking at a Meyers Manx 2.0.
Yeah.
That's not. Is this a 3.0 car? What am I looking at? What are you talking about?
I would call it a 2.5.
2.5. Okay.
Yeah.
So the vehicle there's some little videos that are rolling on here. I'm looking at what I think is the battery pack right beneath the passenger compartment, or maybe this is the frame. That's got to be the battery.
I have to see what you're looking at.
It's the when you see this
yeah,
shot.
Those are early cars.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's got what we call an L pack in it.
Yep.
And the L pack
Right
goes
there.
up behind the bulkhead, and that's exactly what we're talking about. It limits the amount of travel, where the new pack is so thin,
Right.
it sits below the floor, and it goes the length of the floor. It allows us the weight distribution also to get better. It allows us full use of the interior cabin for packaging.
Okay.
So and now the whole body goes inside and out, and it's just gorgeous and strong and durable and all of that.
What was the 2.0? The
Yeah.
different. What was the body made of? I assumed it was fiberglass.
Well, we were exploring new technologies like thermoforming. We were looking at SMC. We were looking at a lot of different things, but none of those processes gave us what fiberglass gave us.
Right.
So being small and agile, we actually made tooling. We made prototypes. I wasn't happy.
Right.
I wasn't happy. And the thing is that Philip and I together make these decisions because it's a combination of emotions and technical reasons that we do things. And durability, the thermoform body, we had to make it in multiple pieces.
Right.
And we had to introduce shut lines into it. And those shut lines, ended up being, how do you control the craftsmanship and everything? So going back to fiberglass allowed us to do the whole body in one piece.
But it's also cool because, not only was the Manx born in California, but, fiberglass cars was really a California thing. EVs really is a California thing.
Well, the first fiberglass car was also at the time, early days in 1950s, was the Glasspar sports car developed in Costa Mesa. And one of the key people on that development was a guy named Ted Mangles. And Ted Mangles had an engineering firm that was right across the street for where Bruce was creating the Meyers Manx. And Ted Mangles was also in around 1955 creating the original Utopia cars for Disney.
For Disney, right.
With Bob Gurr,
cool.
and Walt Disney. And so exactly across the street on 30th Street and Vista Way,
right,
on Lido Island. So you had a boat lumber yard, and you had all of these key people. You had Doris's Boat Shop in the alley. Doris's Boat Shop was making all of the fiberglass boats and built the original Meyers Manx bodies. So these people all knew each other.
And so it's not even like Southern California. It's like Orange County specifically.
Well, yeah, and it even got
That's
to where the
crazy,
pebble hit the pond in this kind of square mile of people, the who's who of this development. And, the way that those early days of Hobie Alter, Clark Foam, the original fiberglass surfboards,
yeah,
it democratized,
Right.
you know, all of those sports and you know, things that were going on, you know, the Hobie Cat, all of that stuff made it lightweight, made it so you could put it on top of the roof of your car.
Right.
But all that stuff was all happening in that area.
Oh, that's so cool.
So
That's so cool.
So you say now you have LFP battery, you redesigned the vehicle.
Yeah.
You're a little bit delayed. How much delayed are you?
We're
would you
looking
say?
at third quarter next year for production. It's going to be worthwhile. And you know, we've got our prototypes now running. And I know I sound like a broken record, but I will tell you the journey is not easy. And because there's other things that are part of that journey, and that's suspension durability, suspension systems. I wasn't happy with the suspension. I wanted also more clearance. So the suspension system we now have gives incredible range, so you can go off-road. The battery tech now is going to give us at least 150 miles of range, which is incredible for a car of that size. And
right.
you know, so you'll you know, on the normal use that you're getting used to driving your combustion Meyers Manx.
Yeah, I should pause and say that Meyers Manx dropped off Manx during the heavy rains that we had. So I didn't get to drive it. I've been traveling, so I have one. I've had one for a couple of weeks now, and I've been loving it as like a neighborhood vehicle. And it's, you know, it's an air cooled you know, Volkswagen motor original Manx, which I'd never driven before.
Well,
and so,
the electric will have you know, we're going to have the hard top. We'll have the optional doors. You'll have heating and air conditioning.
oh, okay.
So you'll be able to use this car in any weather,
Right.
anytime. So again, next time we have the rains, you'll have your roof on, you have your doors on, and you'll be just smiling away.
Although for our friends listening and say, I don't know, Detroit right now, it's December or something, and it's 80 degrees out.
Yeah.
So it
Really?
don't affect us that much.
Yeah. So, but I'll tell you, I had a great experience a couple of years ago. We had some Manxes over in Austria, and we went to the GP ice race.
Yeah.
And we participated in the ice race. Put studded tires on the car. I've never driven on studs. Let me tell you, it is like driving on rails on ice.
Oh, studs are awesome. Yeah, it's shocking.
It is so much fun in snow and ice and everything else.
You have braking, which is unusual for snow.
Yeah, and then what we did was when we weren't on the ice, we actually took a group of us and we drove on these back mountain roads that weren't snow plowed,
Right.
and we were going uphill and nothing would stop us.
Right.
Weren't you freezing?
Yes, I had on my REI double thick down jacket tucked in.
Yeah.
But you know
Did you
what?
have goggles on and a helmet?
I didn't have
earmuffs?
goggles on, but I had my knit cap on all the way down to my ears. But it was so much fun. I've never had this much fun.
You know, it's funny you said, because I took my kid to like football practice or a football game or something in the Manx. It was freezing. It was just right after the rains, so I just wrapped him in a blanket. I just said, grab the blanket off the couch.
Yeah,
because he's like, I'm gonna be cold. I'm like, we're gonna do it. You're gonna be fine, and he loved it. You know. So,
yeah. So you know, it is you know, it is something that you do. You know, it is not this pragmatic thing. It doesn't replace your pragmatic things.
It's not a minivan. Yeah.
This thing is something else. It is a desire, a want, a passion.
Well, what I wasn't prepared for, and we were talking about this just before we started recording, was like, I'm just driving it around. Basically, I'm using it. I get lunch in it. I pick up, you know, like groceries or pet food or whatever, and just everyone smiles at it. And,
yes.
I just wouldn't think that for whatever reason. I just, you know, but everyone just looks at it and just smiles, thumbs up, you know, peace signs, honking the horn, rad, you know. So
a lot of people don't know what it is because obviously it's something that was born out of the 60s, but they know they like it.
Right.
And it's approachable. It's not it's not threatening. It is something that is welcoming. It makes you smile. It is something that it doesn't look like it's been designed by a car designer. It looks like it was designed by somebody, and Bruce Meyers was that somebody that understood humanity, understood the beach, and understood lifestyle. So, and that translates into what this thing is.
How much is it going to cost? Has the price gone up since with the redesign?
No, we're still on target with the costs. Okay. And and obviously as we get closer, we'll announce the final prices, but the goal is to keep those where they are. Okay.
A lot of pre-orders? You get a lot of.
We got a lot of pre-orders, and we're just hoping that everybody just stays patient, because you will love it.
I was going to say, though, in the interim, you did something very interesting, which is you found a radial airplane engine.
Yes.
And you stuck that into, I guess, the Gen 1 Manxes?
Yeah, so those are, we built those into our classic Manx. It is an option. It's a 3-cylinder radial aircraft-style motor, but it was specially developed by Radial Motion in Australia. And
how did this happen?
Well, Philip, fell in love with this motor. He saw this motor and fell in love with the motor.
Where does one see an Australian airplane 3-cylinder radial?
Yeah, well, it was originally designed as a sport plane motor.
Okay.
But it's liquid cooled.
Okay.
So, but it's 2 liters, and the power can be developed up to 200 horsepower. We have it at around 150, around that range, because of the lightweightness of the car.
And the EV, sorry to cut off, the EV is also about 150.
If not more. It's more like 200.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's gone up.
Yeah, we have new motors.
Okay.
And it's over 200. And the EV, unconstrained, will do 0 to 60 in around 3 seconds.
In a Manx. So the radial, so 150, because the one I'm driving is, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 horsepower.
It's about that, yeah.
So like you could go on the freeway. I've been choosing not to go on the freeway.
Yeah.
But 150, go on the freeway.
Yeah. So the radial motor has become really popular. It's obviously a niche thing, and we're selling it as a full turnkey niche product. It works beautifully design-wise in the back of the Manx, because of the way the original design comes up, and that top cylinder fits right in there.
Right.
We've now got with Radial Motion further development on it, further engineering, making it better and better. We're doing a 4-seater resorter version of that now.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
So and then also, in the future, stay tuned for internal combustion version of the 2.0, 2.5. But
with a radial or a different motor?
It'll be something else.
Something else.
It's something else.
Okay.
And I think people will love it. Obviously, it will be clean and efficient.
Will it be a Japanese engine?
No.
Okay. not an inline 4. Okay. Is it
will go. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I will tell you it goes with the spirit of the Manx.
Okay.
Got it.
Will is the radial engine loud when it's running?
It can be loud, but it's
like a good
down.
Loud or
what's that?
Is it a good loud? Or
it is amazing. It sounds somewhere between a Harley, a V8, and an aircraft engine.
I heard
it's amazing.
Well, Farah got one. Matt Farah bought one,
yes.
and this Cars and Coffee, which I now I'm talking in the future, but the last one's happening soon. But anyways, he brought it to the last one, and yeah, it sounds cool. It was really
so
neat.
You're selling the radial engines already, like
we're already selling them. We're already building them for customers.
What does it cost roughly?
They start at about $1.25.
Okay.
But that also includes. We've got our design team that part of the process is we come in, the customer comes in, just like we did with Farah, and we have our CMF designer and us. we meet with them. We go through this incredible, interesting presentation. We should take you through it.
Well, remember, I went down there.
Yeah.
And I saw, I mean, so yeah, and you should get down there and check out what they do. But like, there's a wall, and it's like, here's I forget how many different colors of thread.
Yeah, yes.
And here's I don't know, a zillion paint swatches, and with metal flake or not. Here's the interior choices. I mean, it's really, you're getting a fully custom car.
Well, Brenda, who is our color materials person, she's been in the industry developing concept vehicles for OEMs. She ran the advanced materials design for Nissan and Infiniti in their design studio in California for about 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And she also does Pebble Beach cars for clients, and her taste is impeccable. And she will work with the client. And then what we do is we have our digital visualization designer, Miles, who's also a surfer. He's got a really good perspective on what is cool. And then we have Frank Cicedo come in, a designer, and coordinate everything. And just like what we did with Farah and his wife, Brenda took them through her deck, which opens them up to discussing visually what they love and how to polarize their thoughts and mind. And slowly and fairly quickly, we got down to exactly what they wanted, and then we developed the colors. Developed the metal flake, developed the interior vibe, interior, all of that. So at the end of the day, it is bespoke. In some ways, it's more bespoke than anything that you will ever buy.
Right. I mean, Matt was going over with me, like, the different, they have multiple gear shift knobs.
Oh, yeah.
And
they're all handmade.
Yeah. And I was like, this is what you get into when you don't have children. It's great,
when you have a gear shift knob and it's got a dandelion, a clear with a dandelion in the middle, or you want this kind of 70s vibe colors, or you want this kind of cork wood, or whatever it is, we can do it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to pause just for a second, because I'm staring at I'm going through your site and looking at the inventory of the heritage vehicles. I'm looking at the new one. And for those who are driving, let's say, and don't have the chance to look this thing up, we're talking fundamentally about a Dune buggy that utilized back in the day a fiberglass tub, and it's got like bug eyes, these massive fenders, big tires, 12 inches of ground clearance. It's got usually a Volkswagen engine in the back, and it's fundamentally an open top with a hoop roll bar, and then you can put some kind of soft top on it, some kind of canvas if you like. A very cool looking vehicle. As a designer, I noticed that all the heritage vehicles, because they have the higher sill on the tub, and you have the tub that you sit in, it's always like a black. It's never painted. Do you ever? Does it look weird if you paint it, or could you do something?
You can, and it's possible, but it's kind of interesting, because Bruce's philosophy was the way he designed it was he always talked about Marilyn Monroe's dress, when it blew up.
And like the fenders.
And if you walk, the whole idea is when the Meyers Manx goes through water, it none of it gets inside, and it just sort of splashes up, and it gets dirty down there. And if you've ever taken a Meyers Manx off road, it gets dusty and dirty, and it looks great that way, and it's good that way. It's also a really great way to balance between the color part of it and the duty part of it.
Right.
And so I like it. And when we developed the Manx 2.0 concept, I carried that over into the lower parts of the shapes and forms, so it was more finished and things like that.
Right. And it gives it an automatic two-tone look, unless you get a black one.
Yes,
right?
But we can do anything, and we're willing to try anything. But if you go on our website, which is meyersmanx.com,
right,
and you go on there and you can look at the heritage stuff, and
click on inventory. The colorways, the ones that you sold, are so awesome. The colors, you got this,
and
red
they get
one.
sold out fast, because we do it two way. We have a waiting list of customers wanting to do their own bespoke parts. And then we have the ones that we have on the website where we've gone ahead and we've created these combinations, and they go everything from this absolute basic vibe, and there's a vibe.
Like the one I'm driving is orange. It's got a Volkswagen motor.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah. And we did I think you have the 60th anniversary. Is it the 60th anniversary one that has the different dashboard in it, or?
No, I don't. It's just an orange dashboard.
Okay.
And it has like Meyers Manx stickers in white on the sills, for lack of a better term. Yeah.
Okay. So we've done. We can develop this thing because there's a character and a vibe to a Manx. There are people that love the purity of the basicness of a Manx. It's like buying a stock VW Beetle back in the 60s. It had the body color dash, it had single instrument, it just had rubber mats, wheels that were mushroom colored, and a single carb. Basic, and there's a purity about it.
Yes.
Or you can go with an engine that's got dual Webers. It can be polished exhaust, polished stainless. It can have cocoa mats inside, special materials on the seats, the shift knobs, roof materials. You make it your own.
Right. And so right now, let's see. So you guys are selling, we'll call that the Manx Classic.
Yes.
And then the Manx Radial is the Manx Classic with a radial motor.
Yes.
Then you have the Manx EV coming in 9 months-ish.
Yes.
Okay. And then the thing of Pebble that blew my mind that I saw Freddie Porsche blasting around Carmel Valley, the LFG.
Yes.
Tell us about the LFG.
So
and this is happening.
Yes. So LFG, we started that in my studio about in the October timeframe last year. We started developing it. We have a really unique technology, and literally nobody in the OEM is using it, and we can get into reasons why. But it's augmented reality. We put the goggles on it. We use a software called Gravity Sketch, and we start off by sketching, and it is literally like getting into what's his name, Stark in Tony.
Man.
What's his name?
Iron Man.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So where he's putting the images up on the wall and everything, and it is exactly like that. So we put the sketches up, we'll do really accurate side view package drawings and everything. We'll bring them down, we'll scale them, we'll look at the size and everything. We'll start building shapes and forms around it. We'll look at what tire technology, tire sizes, things like that. And then with that, we got to a certain point with that where we were really happy. We presented that to Philip. Philip flipped out. He couldn't believe this thing. And it's mid-engined. It's got an air-cooled flat six in it.
But it's not a normal air-cooled flat six.
No, it basically is a multi-valve, high revving. It'll rev to 11 grand.
It's a Tuttle.
It's Tuthill.
Yeah.
We've developed a one-off. It's got a sequential gearbox, 6-speed sequential gearbox. It's got an all-wheel drive system, first of that I know of a truly working mid-engine flat six all-wheel drive gearbox,
and it's 600 horsepower.
600 horsepower. I mean, and the thing's an animal, but yet as docile as you want on the street.
I understand if it's LFG, lithium ion.
No.
What does LFG stand for?
Well, we have an acronym. We go, loud, fast, gone.
Yeah.
But you can think of all the other acronyms.
It's like Watch to Freedom.
Yes. Interesting.
But I was driving with Awa Roof in his tribute car.
Yes.
Which is a 620 horsepower air cooled roof, and blasting down Carmel Valley, and then Freddie Porsche's coming the other direction in this thing wide open.
Yeah.
And the roof's pretty loud. This was like wow, because I guarantee he was at 11,000. And it was just like, whoa. Like, it was cool to see it on the stand, but seeing it moving was like,
it's an animal.
That's
and,
cool.
and watching it go through its steps off-road. I mean, so we started from scratch in AR. We obviously we developed a relationship with Richard Tudhill. We immediately, with Philip building the bridge for us with Tudhill, we went and we did an initial meeting where we went over to England with our AR and everything. We shared the whole concept with him, went through the whole thing. He flipped out.
yeah.
And then we were assigned a couple of engineers from his side, and we literally started meeting twice a week, developing the chassis, the frame, the engineering, the suspension, all of that, all the closure systems, everything. But we did it all virtually. We never built a model.
That's wild.
But this is so different than in the industry, because in the industry you do clay models, you would build seating bucks, you'd build all of this stuff.
Sure.
We did this all virtually, saved so much time, and it worked perfectly. The size, the packaging, everything worked perfectly, because when we put on the AR goggles, we can also put it in transparent mode, and we can see all of the engineering real time. And if we have a conflict in surface, we can basically say, look, can you make that component smaller or more compact, or do we have to modify the surface? So we go back and forth, and we can negotiate. And then before long, we had it way before the summer. He was already building it and putting in the frame, getting the tooling done. It's all carbon bodied.
And this is going into production.
Well, we're building 100.
limited.
We're building 100 of them,
Right.
and those are for a very special event, experience.
I've been talking to Philip a little bit about this, but go on.
Yeah. So
I know it's public, but go on.
Yeah. So this is going to be really an amazing thing. For the first 20 customers are going to be going down in, I think it's 2007. To Baja.
27.
27.
Yeah.
And that's going to be anniversary of the Baja 1000.
Right.
And but they're not going to be in the race, but they are going to be in their own race. And they will be experiencing, and part of that is also to be glamping all the right ways with the right food, health, all of that, but also learning how to drive these amazing machines by Richard Tudhill. And so when you talk about snow and ice and things like that, there's going to be Antarctic event, there's going to be snow events, there's going to be desert events. The prototype has already been in the Middle East. It's been on.
I saw it was running around Dubai. Yeah.
And it's already been in Italy on a hill climb, drifting along the hill climb. It's a crowd pleaser. It's a little more serious than the classic Meyers Manx, and so one of the inspirations for the look of the car was the McQueen, the McQueen, Manx, and then also getting into, there was a Manx called the SR that was done in around 1970.
Okay.
And if you look at the early prototype of that, it had a very similar headlight. It was designed by Stuart Reed, who's still around.
Yeah, sure.
And
head of Art Center for transportation forever.
And he'd be a great person for you to talk about a little bit of maybe early Manx, because he was his first job out of Art Center in around 1969 was Meyers Manx.
Oh, no
in
kidding.
Fountain Valley. Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So he worked right next to Bruce, creating all of that, and so he knows all the hidden stories and all the skeletons.
Right. Okay.
How much is this going to cost?
Not cheap.
The LFG.
Not cheap, because it's very limited, and there's only going to be so many built each year until we fill out the 100 vehicles. They are around, with the experience and everything, around $800,000.
Yeah.
But they're one-offs. These are FIA spec racing machines that
I mean, the Tuttle 911, the 911K is what, $1 million? I mean, those are.
well, my friend that I grew up with, Jeff Swart,
Yeah.
he's in the East African Safari
Right, yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
and he's in a Tut Hill air-cooled 911, and they just finished building that, and of course hopefully it comes back in one piece.
Right. Right.
But
Also, so I'm looking because we can just talk to you for like a day. It's not even fair. So your job title changed since we last saw you.
Yes.
You are now the
vice chairman.
Vice chairman.
And I keep my seat on the board as well at Meyers Manx. So the vice chairman position now, basically I'm responsible for all of design. I also am responsible for guiding the vision of Meyers Manx, working very closely with Philip on that the vision that we see gets executed in the right way. And that's everything, that's the whole mojo of the brand.
Right. And then you brought in Jennifer Flake from Ford, who I assume you worked with at Ford.
Yes, but she's no longer with us. So she went
left.
back.
I missed that.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
sorry.
she
Family health thing.
her family
okay.
health situation,
Oh, okay.
and so she went back to Michigan.
Oh,
Now we are in a restructuring again on our leadership, but we're moving along pretty well.
Okay.
Because we're small.
Yeah.
So I look at us kind of like a garage band in a way, and it's like you have everybody in that garage band has a purpose and a reason, and we get along.
Right.
No
extra dancers.
No extra dancers. We all, you play the guitar. Oh, and you can play the drums. Great. You're
Perfect.
in.
Perfect. Okay, then on the last episode, we kind of got through your career at Audi. Almost didn't even finish it, but then
Yes.
then we started bringing up stuff, and you said, "I'd love to talk about Roof."
Yes.
You said that's a fun story. So I know what you've done at Roof, but tell everyone how you got involved and what you did.
So I got involved with Alois in Estonia around 2001.
Okay.
Met them up in Monterey. I was introduced to them. And I think, typical Alois, he tried to figure out, how am I going to suck this guy into, painting my fence?
Right. Right.
So obviously everything that Alois does in Estonia, I'm just smitten by. And so, his history is second to none.
It's incredible.
Creating the Yellowbird and all the story that went with that. And everything that he seems to touch seem to have become an icon.
Yeah, the cars are, for as small as they are, they're shockingly good. I've now driven 3 different ones.
Yeah.
And just the quality is crazy, for a manufacturer that size, and what, they're really like excellent, I guess supercar, I don't even know what you call them, but they're incredible machines.
They are, but you can drive them daily, and drive them through city environment or Autobahn.
But so real quick, give you some perspective, like, so the Tribute car, which is a turbocharged, air-cooled, brand new 911 looking thing, it's a Roof. He's put it in 6th gear and floor it, and you can see how well we've done the turbo, that you can actually like still accelerate in 6th gear. From 20 miles an hour.
He loves that.
Yeah, and it was like, wow.
So back in the real early days, probably around 2003, Alois, Estonia, and I met up in New York, and we spent 4 or 5 days in New York, and it was kind of a workshop that I did with them, and I sketched up a complete portfolio for them. I developed a concept of how the cars are built with carbon tubs, going from the 911, going through all different iterations of mid-engine, rear engine, all of that, and that stuck with him. And then so the first car that we did together was the CTR3, and the CTR3 I brought in my ex-boss from Porsche, Richard Zoderberg, who Richard designed a 9083. He did hippie graphics. He did original 935. He was program head of from design for 959, 993. Then he retired, and I brought him in, and so he was someone I could trust and I could work really closely with, and someone I highly respected, because Richard is probably one of the best industrial designers I've ever met. And so sadly he passed away some years ago, but we did the CTR3 together.
And that's the mid-engine.
The mid-engine car, and we started off. Basically, I told Alois, to go from zero to a complete car is very difficult. So, obviously taking the crash structure at that time of the 997 and the 987 of that period, so we started with that just as the front tub, developed a full rear suspension system, and of course his engine group that he developed, that he started developing, the RT35. Started off with a sequential box, eventually went to manual and PDK, a lower roof, has low drag, all of that, really amazing downforce. So that was a great first start. And he still, believe it or not, he still has customers that are ordering that car.
Yeah, I know.
And we started that in 2005.
Right.
So
it's 21 years now.
Yeah. So then fast forward, they got to the point where we got to the next phase. What would be the modern Yellowbird?
So this is the story I want to hear. Yeah, this is the best.
So what was the modern Yellowbird?
Right.
And so I went over there and I basically started mocking it up. I basically just Frankenstein this thing together, and then eventually I had a clay modeler that I had worked with, Eric Obers, and I convinced Alois that we should hire him, and so we developed a clay model of the whole concept, and we kept basically the profile of the original 911 on the cabin, and the glass houses and so forth. But of course, all of it has been changed with the intake and the side glass and so forth. But the biggest development was the packaging of the rear intercooler came out about another 30 millimeters aside.
So you widened it.
So, but instead of just widening the rear the way they did the 959,
right,
and kept the original doors, I came up with the idea, let's widen the whole thing,
right,
except for the cabin. And so we came up with this idea. We widened the doors by 30 millimeters aside, made the car all of a sudden look as though it went to the gym. I mean, the thing became just powerful just by that alone.
But you kept the wheelbase.
No. We kept the overall length of the original car. So if you go with a G body or the original Yellowbird, the overall length. So what we did was two things. We took the rear wheel and we pushed it rearward by 50 millimeters.
Okay.
So, and that brought the weight distribution forward slightly. And we brought the front wheel forward by 20 millimeters. And then what we did was we extended the door that extra 20 millimeters. So, and then of course with the wider body, and then the tire ODs are larger.
Right.
It's kind of like the 935. And we brought the wheel centers up into the body to lower the center of gravity. So now all of a sudden the top of the fenders on the front, instead of being that tall, is that tall.
Right, so the wheel fitment is better.
Everything.
But it's crazy because I remember you showed me I don't know if you even remember. This is probably like 2022 at Motorlux. And I said, wait, what'd you do? And you were like, look, here's an original G-body. And there happened to be one parked next to it. And we're going back and forth. And it was like this almost visual trickery because it looks the same.
It's classic hot rodding.
Yeah.
But what it did was on the original 911 where the headlight sat to the inner surface that met the hood. So we kept the original hood dimension, but it gave us a little bit more dimension. So instead of that part being forced with the fillet coming in, we allowed it to relax a little bit out. And then, of course, the bumpers are just an evolution of the CTR bumpers.
Which are the coolest bumpers
in the world. We could have gone any direction with that car, including a brand new body design. But I told Alois, look, this is your equity. the CTR is so powerful,
Right.
and you want to be able to put the original CTR next to this, and you want to put the modern CTR, and basically that's your father, that's the son.
I had a really embarrassing moment where I was shooting a video at the bridge, and there was a green, what I assumed was a new CTR, and I was on video, and I'm like, oh, look at this, and it's carbon fiber tub, and the only thing it shares with the original 911 is like the glass and blah blah blah. And then the owner heard me, and he walks over, he's like, actually, that's a 1990. I was like,
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah.
Like,
So I think as a designer, I think you have to be fearless, and part of that fearlessness is putting your ego in a box, and by taking something like the Meyers Manx or developing the new CTR is evolving. The original 911 is designed by Buggies Porsche, and I wanted something also that the Porsche family would look at and say, we respected what they did, and evolved it and so forth. I wish I was fortunate enough to work on the original 959 program.
Right.
But
that was your first thing at Porsche, right?
After Art Center, yes.
Yeah.
And
Which is wild.
And I wish we would have thought about the doors. But Helmut Bott wanted to keep those original doors. But that alone...
That kind of gave it some 935 flavor, right?
Yeah.
That's how the 935 had the...
But then we took the CTR, and I had already pre-planned what the next version would be, which is the normally aspirated
SCR.
Yes,
I've driven.
And I developed that fairly quickly. I went over to Pfaffenhausen, spent about a week around that, developing it, mocking it up, showing what's the differences between the two, and again, the next level of evolution. And then earlier this year, Alois in Estonia asked me to do the tribute. And so I went and I started developing the new bumper systems and things like that. And we're still evolving we're going to evolve the front bumper even further. So, and I think, and then of course we did the rodeo last
you were on
year.
the rodeo too.
Yeah, so I didn't do the first rodeo. That was done internally at Roof with Estonia.
The orange one.
The gold one was done internally.
Oh.
The orange one I did.
Okay, I drove that. So it was funny.
Yeah.
I was supposed to drive the tribute.
Yeah.
And it was having a problem, and they hadn't offered the rodeo, and I kind of threw the back channel. I said, is there any way I could drive the rodeo? And Estonia apparently said he can drive it, but he has to take it off-road. But that's the stipulation. So I did a little off-roading with it.
So let me just interrupt for the people who are completely lost. So if you want to know what they're talking about, go to Roof. I think it's RUF Automobile .de for the German site, or roofnorthamerica.com, and you can see a couple of these models. The Roof Rodeo is the one that debuted last year or 2 years ago now.
Oh boy!
I think it's 2 Pebbles ago, because they came out with the cowboy hats.
Yes,
yes. At the
it was last year, and then this year they brought the first customer car out.
Yes,
the black one. Yeah,
the black one. Yes.
They have really cool. It's an off-roady. It's kind of a thing now. Like even Porsche came out with their own version the car version. It's like a wide body. Off-roady version with a very cool interior. You have to see the leather and the
like a Ralph Lauren dress shirt.
Navajo blankets.
So I went over there in developing the car. I went over in different phases, and then Estonia wanted me to work with her on the color materials and the theme of the car. So I did that with her, and and it was a whole Southwest theme, and I came up with the new logo. Did the new logo for rodeo, and. But I tell you, I have so much fun working with Alois and Estonia. It is like Ricky and Lucy. It's
they're great.
Amazing.
I
Yes.
mean, it's they're just like so. They're just very kind.
They're welcoming. They're warm, and to watch them with their customers or their friends.
Yeah,
right. They have different types of customers. They have customers that come without notice, and they call them parachuters. They parachute in,
right,
and they give them so much of their time. They have this attitude, and they understand. It's like when we were kids, and I remember going into Circle Motors in Long Beach, and this was about 1970, and I rode my bicycle there, and I was looking at a 914.6, and the salesman was so nice, and he let me sit in it,
Yep.
and he goes, "Do you want to fire it up?" And he got the key out, let me fire it up.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, makes an
Well,
impression.
can I ask you, because, we're running out of time, but I'm very curious because you're working with Eloise and Estonia, but now there's a new generation, and Eloisa Roof is involved. And then we recently had Ferdy Porsche here talking about the FAT,
Yes.
the karting experience. And I think did you go to the GP ice race?
Not this year.
The FAT
I
ice
went
race?
this year.
Yeah, I didn't go this year.
Okay, but you've now have been able to, I assume, work with Eloisa a little bit.
Yes,
And Ferdy, perhaps
a little bit.
So now you're getting the next generation of these iconic brands. Like, what's that like in terms of? Because Eloisa is so stylish.
First of all, I feel incredibly honored, to be that, especially at my where I am in my career. Which is normally a sunset for a lot of people.
You're busy.
Where I really feel that I'm busier than I've ever been.
Right.
I mean, ever been. And what I am loving about right now is the level of control and collaboration and working directly with the creative minds, because Ferdy is incredibly creative.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, he's everything from what they're doing with GP Ice Race, with FAT, with all of that. As an architect, I've also been early days of some of the architecture that he's working on with some of our projects, things like that. So it is really wonderful. Eloisa is amazing. She really is the daughter of Eloise and Estonia. She has a little bit of speaks multiple languages.
Annoyingly,
culturally, just absolutely a chameleon.
Yeah, right.
And able to stand up in any kind of environment, whether it's a top form at the Quail, whether it's with her father and mother, in the Middle East or whatever. She's incredibly respected. Her own artwork and photography,
and fashion. She's doing a lot of fashion,
and she's brought a freshness into Roof that it really shows you that. And she's literally the third generation,
right?
And it shows you the strength of what's going on there. And so is Ferdy. Ferdy is what is that? You have Ferdinand Porsche, then you have fourth then you have Ferry Porsche, and then you have the father Wolfgang, and then there you go.
Well, I'll tell you where you can see all of what we're talking about very, very clearly. And I think it's also awesome because it is the most attainable part of any of these brands we're talking about, from Meyers Manx to Roof to FAT. What Ferdy Porsche is doing with FAT International is the merch.
Yes,
because you guys all have really, really cool merch. Now, it's expensive for somebody like me who likes to go to Uniqlo to buy my pants and my shirts.
So I have to do a call out on this because so the first Quail event that we went to at with Meyers Manx, where we put the buggies in the sand, my daughter came up with the burlap bags.
Right.
And not only did she come up with it, she did the graphics on it, and she went to the supplier, and our car was filled with boxes of all those burlap bags. And those burlap bags have now gone. I've seen them at Porsche. I've seen them at other brands. I've seen them at you name it. It's become the cool in thing. All of the clothing that's been done. I would say that Meyers Manx has inspired a movement of cool, coming to clothing and artistry and graphics and things like that, and making it fresh and young. And it's going through its next generation now. And what you see now with the ice races, and you see also with Porsche with almond surfboards, it all came out of that.
Yes, right, and I love all the collaborations, and I love that you're bringing it back. It's again Roof, FAT International, and Meyers Manx. Go check out the merch. And what's really it's very cool because these are like legendary brands, and with that, there's the F1 connection is amazing, and then Roof's got the high performance, very recognizable logos, but they're applied thanks to, I think, in part to this new generation in very interesting, very
it's a
hip
new
kind of
interpretation.
ways.
You know,
it's cool.
it's a new filter that has got a voice, and you know, and I think it's amazing. And also Bamford, you know, Bamford has been doing a lot along that, you know.
Yep, sure.
Very cool. So the time we have left, let's throw some mud. Can we throw some mud a little bit? Let's I want your take on, and I don't know if this is even appropriate, but you know, let's just talk about Jaguar Land Rover, and I guess I don't know if it's confirmed yet. Do we know if McGovern, if he's out?
Yeah, he's out.
We hear the rumors,
but I mean, the idea that it's just for Jaguar, I think that's clickbaity. I think that again, I don't, you know.
Let's start with the design, because we haven't talked to you since the design of this Jaguar came out. It's got this kind of monolith, very like a big body. Interesting. I thought the materials inside were really interesting.
Yeah,
and you know,
and it was 3 booths over from you at the Quail, so I'm sure you walked by it.
Right. Do you have any? What was your take?
Yeah,
on?
you know, I could be pretty open on it, because you know, I think that early on in my career, I felt being honest made me believable if I critique something or if I like something, and so people can understand where I'm coming from. But if I sugarcoat everything, I've met people like that, and
Sure.
and it just their opinions mean nothing to me.
Right.
And so, you know, you go back and you look at Coke, new Coke, you know, and you see the drama that happens because especially with legacy brands.
Right.
Yeah.
So legacy brands that have a tradition, that have all of this, have a following. And so you have to be very careful with that. And we know all of those legacy brands. And I when I first came into Porsche, there was a movement, you know, 928, 924.
Get rid of the 911.
Get rid of the 911. They really, there was an early part where they alienated themselves from the Porsche Club and all of that, and then we got Peter Schutz, and then Peter Schutz created a bridge, and on and on. And now we have Rennsport Reunion, we have all of the, we have Luftgekoeld, we have all of these.
Also, you know, didn't sue like Singer out of existence, like could have, absolutely could have,
yeah,
you know. So,
but all this stuff makes it more interesting. It builds up. It makes it more, you know, it makes us, and everybody has a taste and a desire. So let's talk about Jaguar. So Jaguar, probably Malcolm Sayer, probably not a classic designer. He was an aerodynamicist,
right?
But along with William Lyons, created the most gorgeous vehicles ever to have 4 wheels on it.
Struck gold.
Yeah. So you look at the C type, the D type, the E type, Mark II. You know,
I'll even say, hey man, Mark X 420G and the XJ sedan.
Yes,
like,
yes.
I you know, you show me a C type, that's nice looking. XJ sedan.
It goes after your inner human animal emotions.
Yeah.
You know, that you fall in love with that. I also love Apple. You know, Apple, which if you look at, you know, Apple basically copied Dieter Röhm. I mean, let's face it. You know, let's talk about Dieter Röhm and Braun and look at all of the developments. And Dieter Röhm is still around, and he's still developing timeless pieces of product design. When you have a product like Apple or you have a product like Braun, it's appropriate to have something like that because it's mid-century modern. It's all part of that. So design language plays in like a script.
Right.
And so you have to kind of look at, now, what Jerry McGovern did with the new Jaguar, he did it in a way where he basically said, I'm abandoning all of this, and it's only going to be this.
Right.
And I think that's the mistake.
But from a design perspective, do you have any thoughts on that flagship coupe?
I look at design. So, you know, when I penned the TT, you know, the TT to me is a multi-layered story that had Porsche and Audi Union history woven in. And working with Jay Mays, Jay did the Avus, and together we did the Beetle and all of that. So we wove in a lot of stuff. Now, I worked with Jerry, because he was part of the PAG,
Right.
And Jay Mays is the one that hired him,
Right.
And so I think he did an amazing job for Land Rover. I mean, I could go over every Land Rover, the new Discovery, and I can have my opinion. Why did you get rid of the original Defender? I look at things. Can't things be an and not an or?
Right.
Right. I mean,
and the guy's protected Range Rover better than.
So Ineos comes in and says, you know what? You threw that away. I'm going to your trash. I'm gonna. You know what? I see the dealer. It's packed with brand new Grenadiers.
Yeah.
So I don't see that many Land Rovers, as much as I do Ineos right now, but I do like a lot of what I've seen with the Range Rover, the Evoque,
Range Rover Sport, phenomenal.
All of those cars are gorgeous. So I think that being a design leader, you have to, and of course, Jerry was on the board of directors, and he was chief creative officer, but and he can be a bit caustic and toxic.
So if I apologize, I don't know the man very well, but I've always heard internally he was difficult for the other employees. Caustic's a much stronger word, but
I think, but at the same time, he's brilliant. But I think there's a way. I mean, I deal with a lot of people. From creatives to people who are working in the workshop but I all see them as part of the band.
Right.
It's like you can have, again, talking about the garage band, you've got to have people behind the scenes. You've got to have, it's a team, but a team has got to have a strong leader, and whether it's the Philharmonic or anything else, because the leader's got to set the vision. It's got to set, but he's also got to embrace the team. He's got to embrace.
I real quick. I remember I was talking to I'll leave the guy's name out, a designer who worked at JLR, and it was when Ian was there and Jerry was there, and he said, look, he goes, they're both harsh. Like when they don't like something. Yes,
I worked with Ian as well.
But he was like, but with Ian, like there was you loved him and you didn't with Jerry. This is what this
because I think that Ian is a much more approachable person from a broader audience. He's also more grassroots. He tinkers on his cars. He does all
Hot
of that.
Rod, yeah.
And but I think Jerry has had a spectacular career. I think that he's achieved a lot. I think that you do make your own bed in this industry.
Yeah.
It's your reputation. It's how you go on. I can imagine that he will be a hot commodity for any, like a Chinese manufacturer that wants a little bit of that premium because he understands premium.
Or Bentley. I would say, boy, if I was Bentley,
I just want to. You guys are
on the.
First of all, the man is down, and and I brought it up, so this is on me.
I'm saying he's a giant talent. Bentley should snatch him up. Yeah,
kicking him a little bit. In defense of what he did with the 00 concept, which I noticed you didn't actually comment directly on. You went directly to Range Rover.
Well, I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So established.
Okay.
Established.
Okay.
What else? What was he supposed to do? Right. The challenge that he had was immense. The fact is, and let's be real, Jaguar.
Well, look at Luke Dungevoort at
Genesis.
Genesis. Look what he did with the gorgeous sports car. Look at what he's been doing.
But you could say he's in an easier position because he had nothing to lose. He's launching a new brand with the backing of a huge Korean company. Jaguar's got this. Jaguar has this legacy.
But why throw the equity away? Why throw it away?
I'm just saying.
If I had that equity. I would figure out how to leverage it to the next generation.
I mean, I would be looking at like Aston Martin figured out a way to put DB4s back in production.
But you could argue that Aston's in some ways in the same position. Design
language and DNA evolves. Take the Mustang. Mustang's a great example. So you could throw it away. Boom. Yep. Let's start scratch. There's all these DNA elements on a Mustang. You can look at the back and it's got the Chevron 3 taillights. It's got the headlights. It's got all of these things. And Jay and I was part of the team in the S550. We probably took it to the limit where we got rid of the on the quarter window in the back and some of the other stuff. But there's certain key elements that we decided to keep. Working with Jay has been one of the great pleasures of my career because we got along so well, and we still do get along really well.
Right. And he was doing something with Manx, right? Like
he's on our advisory board.
Yeah,
Matter of
yeah,
fact,
yeah.
He was just there, and he's in town right now.
Oh,
I was
cool.
I just talked to him this morning.
Oh.
You know, and so there's still a lot of runway on that. You know, and it's
So, like, okay, real quick, and because we are, I think,
We're
over. All right, but it's Freeman, so we can go a little over. All right, what would you have done at Jag if you're in this situation where they copied Mercedes, BMW, and Audi, right? They had something in every segment.
yeah.
It was you know what I mean? They had the XJ and the XF and the XE 7, 5, 3 Series.
To your point,
they copied it.
To your point,
It failed.
they were trying prior to Jerry stepping in and doing the 00 concept. They were trying to leverage the past. They had an F
But
type.
it's not about that. It's really not about that. It's so if you go to, let's say, Royal College of Art, and if they were given a Jaguar project, and you'll probably get about however many students, you're going to get different points of view, or you go to the Ford Science School, or you go to the Art Center, you're going to get all different points of view. The thing to do when you're taking that broad step, number one is you need to take your ego, put it in the box. You've got the most creative team working for you, and let the creative team come up with multiple proposals. And one of the things that I learned in my career is that you find this magic sketch. You find this magic sketch, and when I worked at Chrysler with Tom Gale, and Tom Gale's big saying was, "Do the sketch, do the sketch." And you think about that generation of Chrysler with Bob Lutz, Tom Gale. I mean, the stuff that was coming out, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
including Diablo.
yeah. I mean, it's all of it.
Yeah.
And so you leverage your creative team. I would do the same thing if I had, let's say, 10 designers working in the studio, and we did this at Porsche. You know, next 911. What is that thing going to be like?
How do you do
everything
that? Yeah,
from evolutionary to revolutionary?
Right.
What is that going to be? Let's figure that out. And again, working with Jay, I really embraced the process because we would always work this evolutionary to revolutionary, whether it was a new F-Series truck or Mustang or whatever. But you're going to come up with a sketch that is going to be like, you know, it's so good. And then you've got to nurture that idea through the whole process.
Right.
Get
it past the accountants.
Well, he was in a unique position where he was judge and jury.
Right.
You know, and he could have chose anything.
Right.
And so obviously others didn't agree. And so he didn't leverage, and you probably hear noise, and I wasn't there, about his creative team. And there's a lot of people probably in that creative team that felt that their voice wasn't heard. And I think that if you do something really, really well, and you embrace it, and you embrace your team, one of the things, come back to the garage band. You're going to be riffing, and you're going to be, somebody in the back is riffing on the drums. You go, hold on, do that again.
I got something for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden somebody comes in with a guitar, and all of a sudden it's happening naturally, organically.
So would you say like the 00, was it like too intellectual? Because intellectually I got what they were trying to do.
Well,
you know?
intellectual is a broad word. It's
or what was wrong with it?
I think it lacked wit. You know, and I use the word wit a lot in design, because it's like a story. Can you tell that story in one sentence or two sentences? Mm-hmm. Is it a 2-sentence joke, or is it a 1-sentence joke? Right. And if it's got wit in it, you say, oh yeah, write a treatment for a new television series. Can you write it in a paragraph?
You need the elevator pitch. This thing was too
but
much.
It's so bland. It is so bland. It lacked tension. Look at the E-Type. One look at the E-Type, Enzo Ferrari goes, it's the most beautiful car in the world.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Right.
Yeah, I get you.
Right.
All right. Well, this was great.
I mean,
Again,
I want to. Well, man,
we didn't even.
I want to hear the Tom Gale stories.
We didn't even get. So
I've been talking to Tom a lot lately.
But
Tom is great.
The best,
Tom
the best.
Tom is I think formalized design, and he brought design up to a level that was respected by the rest of the organization, and he protected design, and he was really the first that came out and got on the board of directors of Daimler Chrysler.
Yes, right.
You know?
And I mean, the most humble guy. I remember we used to do the back of the napkin sketch.
Yeah.
So we'd ask designers to like just draw something on a napkin or a piece of paper, and we'd put it in the back of MotorTrend, and you get a lot of design speak, like here's what I'm trying to do, here's what the sketch means, blah blah. So Tom, I was tasked to get a design from Tom. Draws a perfect 32 Ford Roadster, and his quote is, "I just like hot rods."
I know.
And it's like,
I know.
It's so, I don't know, something so
He
perfect
was,
about it.
and Tom Gale, I think, was such a gentleman to every single level.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I was able to watch him and be part of whether it was boardroom or whether it was on the studio floor. So polite.
Yep.
So complimentary. Knew how to bring people up.
Yes. Yes.
And bring them along. Whether it was
Yep.
the head of marketing, I remember the thing, and it's one of the great lessons I learned. He would always say, "Are you okay with this?" And
Right.
Yep.
yes,
Yeah,
we had
we've worked with him a lot, and I could hear him saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
we're gonna have you back after.
thank you again. Thank you again for having me.
Once we have
Yeah.
the vehicle.
We got to do Ford and Daimler.
Once we
Chrysler.
yes,
really do.
we'll get a
Yeah,
drive.
should have Jay with me.
Yes.
Just
okay.
that would be great.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get Jay.
We'll
Absolutely. Oh my
yes.
God.
Yes, we'll get Jay.
I mean,
we'll get Stuart Reed.
The problem
maybe.
with Jay is Jay could be 5 episodes, but Jay Mays.
Jay is amazing. Jay,
I mean, what he did, putting together PAG is like.
Well, I worked with Jay at Audi. I worked with Jay at SHR, another company. I worked with Jay at Ford. Known him, probably the most prolific design leaders ever.
Right.
It kind of encompasses all the things from the Harley Earl era all the way through to the modern era, and a true gentleman. A true gentleman.
Don't know him. I shook his hand once. I don't know him at all. I'd love to meet him.
He comes from a small town in Oklahoma where he worked at his dad's, car parts store, auto parts store. Just a Maysville, Oklahoma, which was a 1-horse town. But yet he goes to school of journalism. Starts getting his degree there, and then goes to Art Center. He rises through the ranks so fast because it's high intellect,
right?
High capability of working with people, from the clay modeler to the boardroom to a Ferdinand Piech. He had that amazing bandwidth.
Right. Well, we'll have to have you and him back on, but let's do that after we get a chance to drive
The EV.
the Meyers Manx
All right.
2.5 edition, and maybe that Tuthill if we can get a chance.
Tuthill for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right now. It just went back to the Middle East, and now it should be back in England now.
Yeah, but Freeman,
Thank you.
Always
As
a pleasure.
always, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good luck
Thank
with
you.
good luck with all the changes at Meyers, and we look forward to driving the vehicle.
Great. Thank you.
All right.